Hi Internet, welcome to episode 5 of the 20 Something's Guide to Sustainable Living. This episode, it's all about food! And the question of the day, how do we achieve sustainable food? Back in the old days, way before industrialization, we knew where our food came from. It wasn't our carrots, it was our neighbor's carrots. And to get our metaphorical carrots, we had to trade for our metaphorical potatoes. Now the system worked, it was clean and it was efficient. But it's a bit outdated now. But there's certainly something we can learn from it.
Num 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 num.
In the third video, we demonstrated how to make a veggie garden. Now, it's the most obvious answer as to how to achieve sustainable food. Growing your own vegetables is a low carbon footprint due to the decreased transportation, and you also know what chemicals and other products are being used on them. So it's a great answer, but it's not the answer for everyone.
Num 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 num.
Let's elaborate on that point a little bit more. Vegetables start on farms, are sent somewhere to be collected, get washed and sorted, they get moved around a little bit more, and they eventually end up in supermarkets. Now this isn't counting processed food because there's a lot more energy goes into that. And if you want fancy carrots and fancy bags, well then there's more goes into that too. But in Australia, we're quite lucky. Most of our move around a little bit more doesn't usually include a plane trip from another country. And we've got a pretty good carrot delivery system. But there's still a better answer. Farmers markets. Farmers markets support the livelihood of farmers, are characteristically cheaper, and there's less transportation and processing of vegetables. Another point worthy of consideration is meat consumption. Now the same amount of meat generally requires much more resources like land and water than the same amount of vegetables. 16% of Australia's emissions come from food production. 70% of that comes from meat production.
Num 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 num.
Beef is particularly problematic. In farming beef, you have to clear a substantial amount of land. Now that releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. These animals also produce a lot of methane gas and a whopping 29 kilograms of wet waste per animal per day. Then if you take into account the inefficiency of grain feeding these animals, you have a meal that has a serious impact on the environment. This is one of the primary contributing factors for my decision to become a vegetarian. Now, if you've been thinking about it for a while, I recommend you try it. Make sure you have a balanced diet and do some research. But it's surprisingly easy. But for those of you who aren't quite ready to take the leap, consider having some meals without meat. Now there's a movement at the moment, it's called Meat Free Mondays. They have a brilliant website that shows ordinary people how to make vegetable-based meals that are both really healthy and great for the environment. When you do decide to eat meat, try and see if there's a free-range cut available for what you're after. Chicken in particular is very easy to find free range at the moment. Now this isn't so much about sustainability as it is about animal welfare.
Num 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 num.
I'm lucky because where I live I can have backyard chickens and I know mine are happy. I know from personal experience that they absolutely love running in the yard, digging up the dirt and sleeping under trees. Battery chickens, however, they're not so fortunate. It would mean the world to them if you purchased free range instead of cage eggs. And the brilliant thing is, people are doing it. Supermarkets have expanded their supply of free range eggs. And remember, generally, demand does increase supply.
Num 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 num.
So the next video will be the last video, so there's not going to be preview this time. If you like this video or any of my other videos, make sure you share them with your friends. This is a video competition based on views, and whilst I'm trying really hard to make good content, I need your help to get me over the line.